Hello. Welcome, everyone, all of my YouTube family, back to another head-scratching episode of Insane Disappearances. Tonight, I'm switching up the gears a little bit. Gonna still be talking about a very strange disappearance, but since the title has changed on my channel, and other paranormals, I'm going to be talking about a age-old fable, and that is the Bermuda Triangle. Ooh. This is a very recent disappearance that just recently happened on October 9th of this year. Oh man, it's weird. It's about a newlywed couple that disappeared in their private plane going into Bermuda. I'm gonna get right into it right now. Okay, now it says here, newlyweds plane vanishes in the Bermuda Triangle. Now there is a map of this whole thing telling you exactly where they disappeared over or near the Bermuda Triangle, and everybody knows that there's like 3 points in Bermuda that connect into a triangle. And I've never really talked about this before, but what's his name? Having a brain fart right now. Sorry. Nikola Tesla talks about this thing about 3, 6, and 9, which basically is the keys to the universe, and the 3 makes up a lot of things on this planet. Is woven into the fabric of time and space. If you look up into the night sky, you will always see 3 stars in the form of a triangle. Thusly, we have a triangle in the middle of a freaking ocean that connects between Puerto Rico, Bermuda, and Florida. Okay, now getting on with the story. Well, I'll talk about that other stuff at another date. Okay, now a Texas couple traveling to the Bahamas. I'm sorry, the Bahamas. That was my mistake. I apologize. Not Bermuda, but to the Bahamas. But they were passing through the Bermuda Triangle to get to the Bahamas. Okay, moving on. Okay, now a Texas couple traveling to the Bahamas for their honeymoon may be the latest victims of the infamous Bermuda Triangle. Ain't that the truth? Okay, now at the start of what was to be a week-long trip, Forrest and Donna Sacco flew from the city of Fort Worth in their private plane. They must have been pretty loaded for them to have a private plane. And they landed on the island of, okay, here's another weird name here. Let's see that, Eleuthera. Not sure how that's pronounced, but I'm pretty bad with names. But anyway, Eleuthera in the Bahamas on September 25th. Now that refueling stopped. Let me see. That refueling stop was that. Okay, I'm having a tongue twister right now. That refueling stop was the last that anyone has seen of the couple as they departed that airport the next day and headed for the nearby island of Rum Cay, but never arrived at their destination. Oh boy, this is the part where it gets very, 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 very weird. Now, unfortunately, their lack of contact with family and friends over the course of the next week did not arouse suspicions, since there were ostensibly celebrating their recent nuptials in the proverbial paradise, and so it was only when they did not return home to Fort Worth that their loved ones realized that something was amiss and attempted to track down the couple, but could find no indication that they ever made it to Rum Cay. Now, more on the distributing story at Coast to Coast AM website. Oh, okay, so I have to go to the website to find out more. Let me see. Hold on, give me 1 second here. I'm just gonna see what else they may have on that. I'm gonna go straight to the okay, here we go. I went right to it. Okay, let's see. Let me see. Nah, it's pretty much the same thing that I just mentioned. Hold on, let me see. Let me just make sure. Oh, here we go. As one can imagine, the location of their disappearance has raised the ominous specter of the Bermuda Triangle, as indeed the couple did seemingly vanish within the confines of that notorious patch of the planet. Since the circumstances by which planes and ships go missing there remains a mystery by virtue of their very disappearance, it's impossible to truly say if the couple vanished is if the couple vanishing is a bona fide Bermuda Triangle event or merely a result of something prosaic, such as inclement weather. To that end, the Saccos may be inadvertent victims of the recent hurricane season, as as search and rescue resources in the Bahamas are said to be scarce. Boy, here we go. Said to be scarce due to the treacherous storms that swept through the area. The lack of help from authorities in the Bahamas has led their friends and family to enlist private planes and search for the couple in the hopes that they can somehow miraculously be found. Now, sadly, the Saccos are the second group of Americans to go missing in the Bermuda Triangle this year. Oh, I didn't hear about the first one. I'm gonna have to look into that to see who these people were. Like this year, as a similar incident occurred this past May. I'm definitely going to look into that. Let's see. Now, Coast Insiders looking to learn more about the infamous esoteric mystery that is the Bermuda Triangle can check out adventurer David Hatcher Childress. Let me see. 7/16/2003 appearance on the program. Not a Coast Insider yet. Okay, that's something different. All right, now that is the cornerstone of all disappearances, because that was probably one of the first idyllic stories about people disappearing in that, other than the people in national parks. I think it didn't; those stories didn't make way until David Paulides kind of put it on the map. But before him, there was the infamous, the Bermuda Triangle disappearances. You got Flight 19 from back in the 1950s, I believe. And those 5 planes have never been found. They actually found 5 planes lined up in a row under the water near where they, I think it was near either Fort Lauderdale or somewhere in between, where the Bermuda Triangle would be. But they said that those planes weren't the ones that went down, over the Bermuda Triangle. Now, here was my thought about that. I figured that if these people, these fighter pilots, went down together as a flying group, when they hit the water, I'm guessing they didn't want no one to know about them, going down in the Bermuda Triangle, because I guess they wanted people to think that they had everything under control. So they somehow gave the public the wrong information on purpose about the serial numbers on the planes, so that they would never know that these were the ones. And it was just ironic how you found 2 fighter pilots of the same type of models under the water, lined up in a row, okay? But yet the serial numbers didn't match. I'm thinking, like I said, they gave the public the wrong serial numbers just so that it would throw them off the trail of finding these planes, so that they wouldn't think that they screwed up. Because we had a bunch of families out there who were, family members of these fighter pilots, and they don't have any answers as to what happened. Just like that young Australian pilot who disappeared, saying that there was this thing over his plane that he couldn't get away from because it was so massive, and then you could actually hear the sound of metal scraping, over the radio as it's being fed to the tower, and then after that, nothing. He's never been found. So it's believed that he was abducted, or that him and his own plane was abducted by an alien spacecraft. But like I said, there's never been any evidence to show that either happened. No, there was evidence because of the sound of the metal scraping, of the plane. But at the same time, there's no evidence that would show that he went missing. He just vanished. Now, as far as this, like I said, this is the Bermuda Triangle disappearances is the cornerstone of all disappearances. Which is very mysterious. It fits right in there with the rest of the missing 411 cases, except we're talking about over water. Now you got this one ship, I think it was the USS Cyclops, that disappeared in the Bermuda Triangle. That ship has never been found. I remember they did like a little, I won't say a parody, but they did like a little thing about that on my very favorite show, Quantum Leap, where Al and Sam was flying in this plane. Well, he was a pilot, Sam was a pilot, and they were flying over the Bermuda Triangle, and one of the main pilot mentioned something about the USS Cyclops that picked him up, and Al told him that the USS Cyclops disappeared in 1918, 26 years before Cooper was picked up. Those were his exact words. I watched that show faithfully, trust me, so I know almost every single word that was said on that show. But anyway, the whole point is, this story right here is crazy, as far as them disappearing. And I mean, we're talking about newlyweds that just started their new life as a married couple, and they're supposed to be going on a honeymoon trip to the Bahamas, passing through the Bermuda Triangle. Now, here's the crazy part. When I went on a cruise to Bermuda, the ship that we was on had navigation capabilities that could get around the Bermuda Triangle instead of traveling through it like how they used to do back in the day, which is the reason why all these ships disappeared. But they flew right over the Bermuda Triangle, apparently, for them to disappear, because they said like freak storms would occur and crazy waves would happen, all kinds of craziness. The instruments on the dashboard of the plane would go haywire. Some pilots would think they were upside down, but they were right side up. Or they would think they're going north, but they're really going south. All kinds of craziness would happen. And you would think that the pilot that was flying this newlywed couple to the Bahamas would know to fly around, the Bermuda Triangle. Now, if he didn't have that type of navigational system on that plane, it might have been one of those old charter planes for it to be a private plane, which was the cheapest route, since they probably spent all that money on the wedding and the honeymoon itself, so they probably could only actually hire someone for it, or that flew a charter plane, which probably didn't have the correct type of navigational system. I don't know, but that seems to be the case right here. They flew through the Bermuda Triangle instead of them flying around it, which is what they should have been doing, because that's what ships do when they travel to Bermuda. They fly, they move around the Bermuda Triangle. That's what my ship did when I went there for a graduation present with my mom. Okay, so as anybody guess what could have happened to him, and hopefully there will be some answers one day, but judging on what happened to these people that actually disappeared in the Bermuda Triangle and all these ships and planes and all that stuff, they're not going to be found, because anybody that knows about the Bermuda Triangle, they knows that doors open up to these different dimensions or different parallel Earths and all this stuff, and they fly right through it. There was a story about this famous actress whose father was a pilot, and he went into the Bermuda Triangle in his plane, and she talked to a psychic, and she said he died instantly the minute he entered that portal. So I'm thinking that maybe there was no air where he was going, and the air got sucked out of the plane, and he probably crashed, or maybe there wasn't any gravity, where he fell into a void and the plane crashed into whatever. I don't know, but still, very crazy stories, my friend. I'm going to look up this other story too about this other couple that disappeared in the Bermuda Triangle in May. Hopefully, I can find something on that. And if I got time, I'll talk about it right here. This is plane vanishes in the Bermuda Triangle. Now, I don't know if it's the same one, unless they're talking about. I mean, this may have been another case of a person or people that disappeared in the Bermuda Triangle. Okay, yeah, this is about a woman named Jennifer Blumin and her two young sons. Okay, I'm gonna read this real quick. Now, the infamous Bermuda Triangle is back in the news following the strange disappearance of a small plane as it flew through the mysterious location earlier this week, which is in May. So this is a way earlier story here. All right, now bound for Central Florida, get this error out the way, from Puerto Rico, the aircraft lost contact with air traffic control around 3 hours into the flight on Monday and vanished from radar. Aboard the plane were a woman named Jennifer Blumin, which might be Blumin, her two young sons, and pilot Nathan Ulrich. Now, when the flight never arrived in Florida, authorities quickly set about searching for the plane and its passengers, and ultimately recovered some small pieces of debris from the aircraft. Oh, okay. Now, the U.S. Coast Guard and other agencies are continuing to look both for the plane and its passengers, as well as for answers as to what might have. They typed it twice for some reason. As to what might have gone wrong during the flight. Now, one possible cause from the incident, inclement weather, which is something that they always talk about because that does happen in the Bermuda Triangle, has apparently already been ruled out as a possibility, with the Coast Guard saying that there was no indication such adverse conditions when the plane disappeared. Skeptical observers, citing aviation statistics, will say that the apparent crash being connected to the Bermuda Triangle is merely a matter of geographical coincidence. Yeah, whatever. Anyway, however, those who believe that there is something strange about the area will likely see this latest case as a grim reminder that the Bermuda Triangle is no paranormal relic, and that it continues claiming unfortunate victims to this day. Yeah. Okay, now Coast Insiders looking for... Oh, that's something else. Okay, but yeah. Another strange case, folks. And that is... And I'm gonna tell you right now. I've said this before. Everybody, and I mean everybody, has to get rid of all of their fear when it comes to the unknown. They have to, or else they're never going to accept all of this crazy stuff that happens. You got all your skeptics. You got your theorists that want to use logical explanations to figure out why these things are happening. I'm not saying that that's a good idea. I'm not saying that it's a bad idea. All I'm saying is when you got something that's weird, something weird that's going on this planet, like the Bermuda Triangle, and people just disappearing off the face of the earth, and national parks and all that other stuff that be going on this planet, why would you even try to add a logical reason to all of that? None of that stuff makes sense when it comes to people just vanishing, without a trace. You got people that go into a national park to enjoy the wilderness and to enjoy the outdoors. They go in there to hike, to camp, to jog on the trails, to enjoy nature, to look at the birds and whatever the case may be. But yet they walk in there. Let's say they go in around 4 o'clock. Okay, they tell their family they'll be back around 6. But when they go in, they never come out. They go in there, they search for them, and they can't find out one trace of them. They probably don't even know what clothes they were wearing because they just called them on the phone. It's not like they said, okay, I'm going to be wearing a blue Parker, or I'm going to be wearing a blue checkered shirt with some jeans and some hiking boots. They don't say all that. They just say they going for a hike and I'll be back around 6 p.m. or whatever the case may be. One person said he'll be back at 10 p.m. Why would you want to do that? Knowing that you were going around 4 and you were going to come back at 10. That's way too much. But people do that. They tell them where they're going to go, but then they still go in and they lose their existence to whatever it is they be taking these people. They mention the portals open up. They walk right through them, don't even see it. Or maybe they do see it, but they can't get away from it because the gravity gets sucked into this void, or the air or whatever gets sucked into this void, and they get sucked right into it. And poof. Look at what happened to that young man I talked about who disappeared he didn't disappear with his buddies, but he was working on a DOT crew, and he just vanished without a trace, and all they found was change on the ground and one lone work boot dangling to a barbed wire fence. So I'm like, what? Can you logically explain that? No. Can you say that they had something to do with it? No, because they were ruled out. They already passed the lie detector test. Now the mother, she the one that put that in place because she thought that maybe they had something to do with it, but they didn't. They the ones that wanted to look for him. So, but they never found him. All they found was his 2 boots. One had dangled on the fence, and 900 yards away from the fence was a swampy area that was on the property, and they found the boot right there. Okay, so how can you explain that logically? You can't. Okay, they didn't even hear anything when he disappeared. Okay, somehow, some way, when these portals open up, sound gets sucked right into this void along with the person. So you can't hear anything when this happens. Or it happens so quick, they don't even have time to make a noise. Or noise doesn't even have time to whatever. Because, because one thing I realized, when you're in space, what happens? There's no sound. And there's no air. Apparently, you need air, sound, and gravity in order for you to hear. Well, okay. You need air and gravity in order for you to hear sound. Obviously. Okay? Which is a mixture of these elements. Well, I can't really call gravity an element, but all I know is you need these 2, formulas to create sound, apparently. But when all that stuff, gravity and sound and air, gets sucked into that void along with someone where you can't hear anything, there you go. There you have it. And that's just a theory off the top of my head. Okay? So, like I said, does anybody guess what happens to these people? And, my heart goes out to all the families, they have to go through all this. I mean, think about this, the story that I talked about last night, okay, about the 2 people that disappeared or went missing in, Joshua Tree National Park. Rachel Nguyen and her friend, not boyfriend, but friend, Joseph Orbeso. They went missing on July 27th, if I'm not mistaken. And they found first they said they found their bodies. Then after the update, they said they found their remains. Because when they found them, they were hugging each other. Obviously trying to keep each other warm, but they still died from, I guess, they succumbed to the elements. They froze to death, while trying to keep each other warm with their body heat. And obviously that wasn't enough. So, I was really sad about that because I was really, really hoping that they would find them somewhere trying to hide out from the elements. Because, obviously they didn't bring enough rations for them to be out there for that long. We're talking about 3 months here. July, August, September. That's 4 months. 4 freaking months they was out there. So, obviously, somewhere between the time when they went out there, I'm guessing they only lasted about maybe a month at the most. So they was probably, I don't want to say it, but they probably been dead for the past 2 to 3 months. Maybe. Because the body, I believe they say, without water, you could last maybe 72 hours. As far as food, you can last maybe 3 weeks at the most. Because, the food still be in your system. So you're living off of what's in your body, I would imagine. And so when that's gone, when it digests completely, you ain't got no more nourishment in your body. So that means you are living off of nothing but what's in your body. And then after that, you continuously need to eat in order for that stuff to work and to keep you alive. So when that didn't go so well, that's obviously what happened. Now, this is just my personal opinion. I'm not an expert in these areas. All I can tell you is what I think could have happened to these people. And my heart goes out to the father and the parents of the female. I know this is a very hard thing for them to have to go through. I mean, they have closure, but it's not the closure they wanted. They happy that they found them, but they're not coming home alive. They're coming home, deceased. So it's really crazy, So what are all these happenings that's happening, in national parks and the Bermuda Triangle, obviously, because the Bermuda Triangle is obviously alive again. It's always been alive, but it has claimed 2 lives. I don't know because anyone beyond those 2 people the 2 people. Well, not the 2 groups, the 2 groups of people that actually disappeared in the Bermuda Triangle. Before that, I don't know about anybody else that disappeared, But still, if you go through the Bermuda Triangle, that's what's going to happen. You need to go around it. That's why they have these navigational systems in planes and on ships, like cruise ships and stuff like that. You're supposed to go around the Bermuda Triangle, not go through it. Now, if the pilot himself was curious as to what could actually happen, he may have done that purposely on his own accord to find out what happened, not even worrying about the newlyweds that was, in the cockpit. Well, not in the cockpit, but in the cabin, or the area where they sit at. So maybe, I don't know, maybe they wanted to know. I don't know. I mean, I'm not trying to blame them for going through there, but it just seems kind of weird. Why wouldn't they go around it? Because if you go around the Bermuda Triangle, none of that stuff is going to happen. You're not going to lose your life if you go around it. Now, obviously, they may have gone through it at a certain time, because they say that there is a certain time when it's at its most active. I've heard this from psychics and other people who are experts or whatever, who actually went through there at a certain time and nothing happened. But if you go through there at the time when everything is just all over the place, where navigation is all over the place, the compass is spinning like crazy because of the magnetic field in that area, which is stronger than the magnetic field apparently that's that covers our atmosphere. I'm just dumbfounded at all this stuff. There's something going on, and we can't figure out what. Now, like I said, I can come up with theories all day, but if you don't have any answers to these theories, which would not be logical, I'm just trying to make that clear. Anytime you have a very strange occurrence that has very strange questions that need to be answered, you need to answer these strange questions with strange answers. You can't do that with logical answers because it would not make any sense. Okay? Sometimes I feel like people need to rationalize something that happens in a very weird way just so they can come up with a reason for them to feel comfortable, because they're not ready to accept that something unknown is happening on this planet. It helps them sleep at night. They want to stay in their comfort zone. They don't want to believe that something weird is going on there because that goes beyond their belief system or their religion or just the fact that they're logical thinking humans. I, for one, know and believe that this reality that we live in this is not what it's supposed to be. Because think about it. We got weird shit going on all over this planet. People and children disappearing without a trace. Okay? And there's no explanation as to why. I mean, we're talking about a young boy. His name was I can't remember his name, but he was from Australia. He was walking up this embankment, I guess on a very steep hill or mountain, where there was a waterfall next to him. Okay? When he walks up this thing and they realized that he was gone, they looked at his footprints, and his footprints looked like this. Like as if he was being lifted off the ground. So they only saw the front end of his footprints, like as if something either like maybe it was a tractor beam or whatever you want to call that, lifted him off the ground and he went up into whatever it was. Or maybe some portal opened up above his head and he got sucked into it. Okay? But there's no evidence to state that that something happened to him. They just got his footprints right there. You know? So weird stuff happening on this planet, but you want to still be logical about it? You can't do that. It's just impossible. You know, now I'm not going to say that being logical isn't, you know, is something that you don't need to do. I'm not saying it, okay? But if the evidence is telling you something weird, telling you that something weird happened, why would you want to use logic to figure it out? I just don't understand that. I really don't. But anyway, like I said, it's weird stuff going on, and I was surprised to even find out that the Bermuda Triangle was still claiming lives. You know, but you know, when you listen to Coast to Coast AM, you're gonna hear all this stuff all the time, and he has like nothing but experts, you know, calling into the show that he's actually friends with. You know, so you know you're gonna get the best information, you know, on the planet from Coast to Coast AM because they speak the truth. You know, but yeah, very, 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 very strange. But anyway, guys, that's my time tonight. I just want to get this in. When I first heard about the story, I wanted to make sure you guys got a chance to hear about these two disappearances, you know, and they fit the parameters of the missing 411 cases, but on a different level. We're talking about people who disappear over water, you know, which is the same thing because they vanish without a trace. So there's that one portion of the criteria that fits all of the others, you know, because the other people, they disappear without a trace. And they're never found ever, you know. But this is on land in national parks and in people's backyard and urban areas, what have you. So, but anyway, guys, I gotta go. This is my last night off, and I want to enjoy it as much as possible. I promised you guys I was going to try and get another video in, and tonight was that night. So, you know how I do it, guys. You really do it every single time at the end of every video. Aloha, mahalo, and hui ho. Of course, if you don't know, that means till we meet again. All right? Peace out, guys. Have a great night. Love you.